Hello and welcome back to You Want to Do What with Dan and Julie. Today we've got Ed, a tree surgeon. So welcome.
Hello.
So let's jump straight into it. Why did you decide to be a tree surgeon?
So basically, whilst I was doing my A-levels at school, I worked for another firm. A family friend owns it. And I basically did some work with him whilst I was doing my exams. And then when I left sixth form, I actually went and trained as a chef. And I got a job at the Savoy, which lasted about 3 months, maybe 2 months.
Wow.
I then left there, hated it.
It's a bit different from being a tree surgeon, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, stuck in a room for, 12 hours a day, no windows, getting sworn at. It's a bit different to working outside now for myself. So I left that, and then I went back to the guy that I was originally working with, and then I thought, oh, well, I might as well set up my own company. So that's what I did.
That's interesting. Obviously, Savoy and now tree surgeon. I'm most interested in how you learned to become a tree surgeon. So what was your steps for learning, I want to say, the trees?
Yeah, so basically, I learnt all the groundwork whilst I was working for the other guy. He did all the climbing, all the cutting, everything. And then I had to do a course, which was down in Kent. It was over 4 weeks. And they teach you everything to do with chainsaws. Then you have to do another course, which is all the climbing. And then basically you learn on the job, really, from there.
It sounds like there's a lot of dangerous stuff that goes into being a tree surgeon. Obviously, you're up high, you're working with chainsaws. Is that not a little bit scary sometimes, up there in the tree with the chainsaw going?
Yeah, I guess it is a bit scary sometimes, but, that's what I do. And that's why my life insurance is quite high.
What would an average day be like for you? Obviously, you're outside. I can't imagine as many trees in the office. So what is it you do? You get up in the morning, and what's your routine?
So my routine is I wake up about 5:30. I walk the dogs. I leave home at about 6:30. And then every morning from 7 a.m. till approximately midday, I have a contract with a bigger firm. So I do work with them, basically as a subcontractor. And then after midday, I then do my own private jobs.
Is that quite common in tree surgery to sort of do that, to have a main contract and then work on the side a bit as well?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, subcontracting, yeah, probably. But it basically means I'm guaranteed work throughout the year.
And is it seasonal tree surgery?
It would be if I was doing it on my own, because I've only been doing it for 2.5 years. I'm still building up my client base, but the firm that I do the work with in the morning, he's been going for, I think, 45 years or something, so
wow.
I can work throughout the year then.
Is it a technical sort of trade to learn as well? Because, most things, you do, just cutting down trees, I could do that. But there's stuff that goes into it that we don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, you learn about the health of trees and disease and everything, and obviously you have to be careful how you cut the tree down and everything, so you could end up, planting it on a house. So.
Have you had any of those incidents?
No, I haven't had any incidents. What I have had, I was about 70 foot in the air, and I thought I tied myself in. I leant off the branch and had my arm round it. I was hanging on, and then I realised I hadn't tied myself in.
Shit.
I had to pull myself back up and then tie myself in.
Oh my God, I'm terrified of heights, so that would just not be ideal for me.
Honestly, that was pretty scary.
Going back to the contractor and talking about client base, is it one-off clients that you generally have? Someone, can you come around and cut this tree down, or is it actually more the subcontracting you do? Is that quite consistent day to day?
Yeah, so the subcontracting is consistent. My own work is probably about 60-40. I would say 60 is repeat customers, and that will be pruning trees, hedge trimming, and the occasional whole tree removal, depending on what they want. But and then the other 40 would be the whole tree removals. That's normally a one-off. Someone has to have a tree removed because they need an extension built, or maybe their tree has a disease or something. But yeah, generally repeat customers.
Do you have to go and learn, or can you do courses on trimming hedges and box cutting hedges and all stuff like that, or do you kind of learn on the go? Yeah,
you learn that on the go. Hedge trimming. I mean, hedge trimming is pretty easy unless you've got a bit of a problem. But you learn something like that on the go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously it's not an office-based job. But is there a lot of travel? Is it travel around local area, or can you be all over the country, or how does it work?
So all my work is in the county, so in Essex. The company I do contractor work for in the morning, that's mainly based in and around Southend, because he does quite a lot of work for the estate agents around there. And then my job's anywhere in the county.
We've already touched on the heights. What other personality traits do you reckon you have to have, or fears that you don't have to be a tree surgeon?
I guess you have to be confident. You have to be a hard worker, physically.
I imagine it's quite demanding. Like, you need to be fit to be able to do the job, right?
Yeah, very fit.
You're up climbing trees. You're bringing big branches down. I imagine you have to move all the stuff after you finish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I've recently bought a Garmin as well, so I've been measuring how many calories I've been burning at work.
All right.
So a normal day's work, I'll be burning about 3,000 calories.
Jesus.
Just at work.
3,000 calories.
Yeah, and then I've been doing running in the morning, and obviously that's burning another 600. So
Because
I have to eat a lot.
We know each other quite well, and you've lost quite a lot of weight.
From
running.
Yeah.
3,000 calories.
3,000 calories. Yeah.
So you could eat what you wanted if you.
Well, yeah. Before I was eating pretty much what I wanted, wasn't I? And I wasn't running, and I was just staying at about 15 stone. And then since then, I've now been running every morning. I'm now down to 13 and a half.
Do you feel a bit safer up in the trees at 13.5 stone?
A lot safer. A lot safer. It's a lot easier to pull myself up.
What are some of the sort of the positives you take from the industry? You mentioned you work for yourself. You essentially decide how much you earn, I guess. Is that the positives?
Yeah. Because I own my own business, I would say the positives are, being able to work my own hours, the satisfaction of, having my own business.
Is that a very common route into, once you're a tree surgeon, you go and work for someone like you said you did work experience, and then you had a bit of a midlife crisis, went to the Savoy. Is that common for you to then sort of get experience, set up a company? I imagine you're a sole trader, or do you do it as limited?
Limited company.
Limited company.
So I'm technically a director.
And then you sort of, like you say, you get contract work, and you also work for yourself.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. You would obviously need a bit of cash to start with to get things going, because obviously all the machinery is quite expensive. You ideally need a 3.5 ton tipper truck as well.
Jesus.
So it all adds up. But it's a much better life if you can have your own company doing it.
What else did you do when setting up your own company and starting this off? Is there anything that maybe you'd advise people to do or not to do?
In terms of work, I actually did other things. I did fencing to start with. I did gardening to get clients. Since then, I've dropped the fencing and the gardening just because I've got enough tree work now, and that's where I make most of the money.
What would be your advice if somebody wanted to start a tree surgery business? Would it be just go knock on doors, do flyers, social media?
Yeah, so I did, I think I did about 6 months worth of leaflet delivering, which got me a lot of work to start with. From then, it's pretty much all word of mouth. I do get some jobs through Instagram and Facebook, but the better jobs are through word of mouth because they know exactly what they're getting from me. And normally when you go for a quote that's come through social media, they're trying to haggle with the price and everything.
That's quite interesting because the people we've spoken to that are in sort of, the construction industries and manual labour sort of industries, a lot of their work comes through word of mouth. So it's like build up a client base, and then people will, tell their friends, tell their family about what you do.
Well, yeah, exactly that. I mean, you're more inclined to have someone work at your house that, your friends used before and they're going to do a good job.
And maybe what are some negatives? I don't want to say negatives, but some less favourable things you have to do, like working outside in all weathers.
The biggest negative would be obviously when it rains. That's got to be the worst.
You're sure not being 50 feet up a tree?
Yeah. Well, being 50 feet up a tree and it raining is pretty bad.
I'd like to see you up 50 up a tree, to be honest, Julie. That'd be a sight, wouldn't it?
Maybe we can make that happen.
And then I guess in terms of actually owning your own business, the negatives, when I got started, obviously you don't know how much money you're going to be earning. You do get a bit of anxiety and whatever, because it's hard to know how much you're going to earn. It's different each week. But you just got to keep going. And
Does that sort of consistency of earning come with experience and building up a client base? It must do. You know,
exactly.
Over the years, you'll know, okay, this month I'm probably going to earn.
Oh,
X
yeah,
amount.
definitely. Yeah. Once you've got your client base, then you know roughly, because all this repeat work, it's pretty much the same price each year.
That leads really nicely into sort of our next question about. We always talk about money on here because it's fairer. So starting salaries we looked at were between 18k and about 25k.
Yeah, if you're a tree surgeon working for someone else, that would probably be about right. I mean, I had one guy who worked for me, and I would think I was paying him £120 a day. So I'm not sure how much that would work out a year.
I'm no good at maths.
I wasn't having him every day, but yeah, he was working for me a couple of days a week. So,
and sort of once you've established yourself, the figures were saying, you know, anywhere from 30 to 44, 45k.
Yeah, that probably sounds about right.
About right.
Yep.
Nice. And it's sort of you get paid a bit more for doing that than you would gardening and, you know, the rest of the outdoor things. It's a bit of danger money, is that where that comes from, do you think?
Yeah, exactly that. And obviously you have a whole lot more waste. Obviously getting rid of a tree is a lot more expensive than, you know, mowing someone's lawn and getting rid of the grass.
What would you say is something that's not in the job description that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis that you wouldn't think you would have to deal with in tree surgery? Maybe it's the clients, maybe it's dealing with, you know, people that are refusing to pay you, owning your own company. Is that one maybe that you know, how do you approach that? How do you deal with that?
Definitely. I've had a couple of people that haven't paid me before. One guy, I applied for a CCJ against him. He actually owned a estate agent that I was doing work for. And he owed me, I think it was £1,800. I went down there and asked him, because I just kept emailing, kept calling, getting nothing. So I went down there and he was there, luckily. He paid me a cheque, which bounced. I then applied for a CCJ, went through that route. I then found out via the Southend Echo that he'd stolen over £100,000 from all the banks of the flats that he was managing. So I never got my money back.
Oh my God! So you've got to be, basically what we're saying, you've got to be super careful that, you know, that you can you even I suppose you can't check before you do work for clients. Is there any way you can?
Well, yeah. Now what I do is I do bank transfer, but they have to transfer it before I leave. This is only for obviously new clients that I'm doing work for every year. I trust, but new clients, they have to pay me before I leave, or they pay cash. I don't take card at the moment. That could be an option.
How do you see the industry growing and you growing in the industry? What is your sort of plans, and what do you think other people could do going forward?
To be totally honest, my long-term plan isn't to carry on doing what I'm doing.
Oh, really? You've had enough? You don't want to do it anymore?
Well, I wouldn't say I had enough. But I'm looking at the moment at hopefully buying a rundown bungalow and doing it up.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my next project.
So have you picked up maybe some sort of DIY skills through, you know, working outside, doing a bit of tree surgery?
Yeah, so when I started my tree surgeon company, I was working with another guy as well, and he did patios, fencing. He taught me all of that. So I could probably, you know, I could do all the garden renovations and the front driveway. And then obviously the other stuff I'd get done by a professional.
So that's an interesting point that you actually don't want to continue what you're doing. Why is that out of interest?
I think there's a better future in flipping properties than there are in tree work, in all honesty.
That's fair enough.
I suppose having the tools and that, you can always go back on, or you can always keep some of your trusted clients on the side.
Exactly that, yeah. I won't be throwing any chainsaws away, so...
And they're expensive. Actually, that's a good point. Sort of all the tools and equipment you need. Because when you take the trees down, you have to get the stumps out at some point.
Yeah.
So you need like stump grinder?
Stump grinder. So I don't own a stump grinder. I hire a stump grinder. And that you're looking at about £120 for a day.
120 quid a day?
Yeah, for the stump grinder.
Okay.
Your chainsaws are anywhere between 400 and 800, depending on the size.
Wow.
Is that to rent for the day?
No, that's to buy. Yeah, and I have 6.
You have 6?
Yeah, you need 6, really.
Really? Why is that?
So you have like an extra large, and then you have 2 handhelds, 2 rear helds, and then a spare.
Wow.
Because, you know, stuff does go wrong, things get dropped on them, they can break.
How much investment do you need to then kit yourself out as a tree surgeon, would you say?
So I spent about 7,000 on equipment. So that's all my climbing equipment, chainsaws, hedge trimmers. then you can probably get a tipper truck for about $5,000. Obviously, it'll be old with a lot of miles, but so you're looking at about, what was that, 13 grand? No, 12 grand.
Better maths than me.
Yeah, that's probably about it.
Okay, and if you were, obviously we've already spoken about potentially leaving the industry, but if you were to go back at the beginning, what would you do differently?
So at the beginning, I bought a tipper truck. I think it was $6,000, and then I also bought a pickup truck for, I think it was just under 20 grand. If I could go back, I wouldn't have bought the pickup truck. There was no need for it at all. It just looked cool. I would have just got the tipper and just gone with that.
Brilliant. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. So really appreciate that. Thanks, mate.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you very much, guys.